Have you ever felt like there's some kind of hidden rule book for professional success? A sort of invisible physics that dictates who gets ahead, and it has nothing to do with just working harder? Well, it's not magic. It's actually about math and structure. Today, we are going to decode that physics. We're going to pull back the curtain on the framework that separates just putting in the hours from making a real exponential impact. Okay, so let's start by just shattering a huge myth right now. The idea that more hours automatically equals more success. It is the most common trap there is, right? This belief that if you just grind longer, putting more time, you'll get ahead. But that path, the path of the ticking clock, almost always ends in the exact same place: burnout. This is what we call the quantitative trap. And this leads to something called quantitative weight. Just imagine your value is measured like this pile of rocks, by sheer volume, by how much time you're putting in, by your physical presence. You're there for 12 hours a day. Or maybe your company has 5,000 people all doing the same easily replaceable task. Your presence is felt, sure, like a big, heavy mass, but you're slow. And if you're removed, well, you can just be replaced by another rock of the same size. Your value is basically defined by, I show up. So then you try to get ahead by becoming a quantitative multiplier. What does that mean? It means to double your output, you just double your input. You work 2 shifts instead of 1. You hire twice as many people to do the exact same thing. This is purely linear growth. I mean, you're working harder, no doubt, but you're still stuck on the same flat plane. You're just moving further along it. You're just adding more of the same, hoping that somehow addition will magically turn into multiplication. It won't. But what if there's a completely different way? Now, this is where it gets really interesting with this central metaphor, coal versus a diamond. Think about it. They are both just carbon. That's it, made of the exact same stuff. So the difference isn't the material, it's the internal structure, it's the density, it's the immense pressure it's been under. This is the critical difference between quantity and quality. It's not about having more carbon, it's about how that carbon is fundamentally rearranged. So this distinction, quantity versus quality, it's the foundation of what we can call the ladder of impact. The first 2 rungs on that ladder, there are these gray spheres you're seeing. They represent quantitative weight, that's just being there, and the quantitative multiplier, which is just adding more of the same. This is basic, it's replaceable, it's totally linear effort. This is the coal. But the third level, now this is a transformation. This is qualitative weight. It's all about density. Think of an expert surgeon who can walk into a room and diagnose a rare condition in just minutes, something a whole team of doctors has missed for weeks. She doesn't work more hours. Her knowledge is just incredibly dense and rare. So you see, it's not about how long you're present, but the irreplaceable value you bring in those moments. But look, having that dense value, being the diamond, that's really only the beginning. The next level of impact, the truly massive one, comes when you start to affect the entire system around you. This is level 4, the qualitative multiplier. You're not just a dense, valuable object anymore. You're a force of nature. Think of the engineer who created the Toyota production system. They didn't just build one car faster, they designed a whole philosophy that let thousands of workers build millions of cars with near-perfect quality. You stop doing the work, and you start amplifying the capability of the entire organization. And that brings us to the top, the pinnacle. This is a moment of pure transcendence. It's called the qualitative exponent. Now, in math, an exponent doesn't just add or multiply, it creates a whole new scale of reality. This is the innovator who doesn't just improve the current system, but actually creates an entirely new one. Think about the person who invented the shipping container. They didn't just make shipping a little faster, they created a new global economic reality, fundamentally rewriting the rules of commerce for everyone. So, the big question is, how do you climb this ladder? Well, the roadmap starts with building that dense, qualitative weight. You have to become a laser, not a scattered lamp. And that means deep specialization. Pick a niche, a small one, and become the absolute undeniable expert. Then, and this is the key, combine it with a totally different field, like data science and ancient history, or biology and economics. Your rarity and your real value, it lives in those unique intersections. Okay, the next stage is to become a system builder, a qualitative multiplier. You have to stop solving problems one by one. Instead, use systems thinking. Design an engine, a machine that solves the problem for you, automatically, even when you're not there. You build the templates, the software, the culture that empowers everyone else to operate at a higher level. You don't just tell someone the time, you build the watch that tells the time for everyone. And that final leap, To activate that exponential power, it requires a huge shift in the kind of questions you ask. See, an average employee asks, how can we do this job better? The exponent asks, why are we doing this job at all? That question forces you to look past tiny, incremental improvements and find a 10 times better result, maybe by eliminating the work entirely, or by automating it, or by completely rethinking the goal itself. Now, making that leap requires two pretty rare skills. First is contextual agility. You have to be able to speak the language of finance, and of the creatives, and of the engineers. It's about being a translator, someone who can see the hidden connections between different worlds that everybody else misses. And second, it requires visionary leadership. And that isn't just about having a good idea, it's about making that idea so clear and so desirable that it becomes a gravitational force, pulling in the best talent and all the resources you need. So ultimately, this all boils down to a choice, and you can see it right here as two completely different paths. On one side, you've got the path of quantitative addition. That's the slow, linear crawl of just adding more hours, more effort, more of the same old thing. And on the other side, you've got the path of qualitative exponentiation, that transformative, vertical explosion of impact that changes the entire game. So take a look at your own work right now. Are your efforts just adding to the pile? Or are you structuring them to create that exponential value? The framework is clear. The choice? Well, that's yours. Because the physics of success, it really isn't just about your own trajectory. It's about understanding that your unique exponential impact can become a part of this larger, interconnected system of progress and innovation. It's not about being the only light out there, but about adding your curve to a whole cosmos of possibilities. The only question left is which equation you want your life to solve.